Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for dropping in. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. Last time we took a look at the Blu-ray of Elvis On Tour, the official Sony CD box set, and a couple of books and a book set which also focused on Elvis On Tour. This time I have two monsters to look at. The first one is a bootleg. Is it the most luxurious bootleg ever made? No, but it's up there. It's up there in the top 10, that's for sure. And then I've got the official Follow That Dream release that eventually made it out earlier this year. So let's first of all take a look at this set from Amiga. Elvis On Tour Deluxe Edition. This came out in 2017. This really, the official box set that we looked at last time from Sony, this is the set that could have been. I know that sounds a little bit odd that a bootlegger can do it better than the official label, but they can. When this came out, anyone that reviewed it said, you know, oh, if only Sony end up doing something luxurious, but I bet they won't. And they didn't. You know, at the time, this was, I want to say this was about the £150 mark. So when you think that the Sony set was just shy of 100 when that was released, this wasn't far off. And look at this compared to that. Let's have a look what we get. So you get this super sturdy slipcase, and you get this glorious book and CD set. And glorious it absolutely is. I'm well aware, you know, that this has been shown on other channels, but it's worth another outing because it's that good. You can still pick it up, does come up from time to time. I think you're probably looking £200-300 upwards if you grab yourself a copy. But I can't recommend this high enough. The attention to detail, the way that it's presented. I mean, just look at the back there, just that detail from, you know, one of Elvis's jumpsuits at the time. What's this called? The pinwheel? I think this was the white pinwheel. But so inside you get, first of all, 4 CDs on the inner cover. You get the mock-up studio session, March the 30th, 1972. You get the rehearsal at RCA Studio C, the rehearsal at RCA Studio C on CD3, and the rehearsal in Buffalo, New York. The content is very similar to the official Sony set that came out, eventually came out in early 2023. The Sony set is in better sound, but this is in pretty good sound. So what else do we get? Another 5 CDs, look, another 5. So we get CD 5, the Hampton Roads, Virginia concert, Richmond, Virginia on CD 6, Greensboro, North Carolina, CD 7, and San Antonio, Texas on CD 8. Now I think one of them, I can't quite remember which, one of the shows isn't quite complete. And apologies, I can't remember. I think it might be Hampton Roads that's slightly incomplete. Oh, and then CD 9, you get interviews recorded for the movie. So last time I talked about the Elvis talking and there being more of Elvis talking than there was used in the movie. You get some of that on there. You get the interview with Vernon Presley, interview with George Klein. So you get interview with Elvis 11 minutes 10, and then interview with Elvis 2 42 minutes 13. So, you know, it blows me away that a bootleg company would give you so much, but this is just off the scale, absolutely off the scale. And that's just, you know, you as you've seen from the presentation just then, but then when you start looking at the book itself and what that gives you, it's just. I remember the first time I'd read some reviews of this, you know, and everyone was saying if you can get your hands on it, try to. And it came up and I got my hands on it and I just thought, wow, this is unbelievably good. And as soon as I got it, I could see exactly what people meant. That unfortunately it did seem as though when an official Sony release came out, it wasn't going to be of this nature. And as we know, it wasn't. Much as the booklet that came with the little Sony set was good, you know, it's just not on this level. And I suppose this is almost the closest comparison, because you can see from the discs that the content is very, very similar between the two. Very similar indeed. So, yeah. You know, I just think in terms of bootlegs, this is, like I said, right up there in the top 10, probably in the top 5, I'd say. For me, I think the most luxurious book set that exists is one that I actually picked up a couple of weeks back, Elvis the Mono Masters. I'm going to do a separate episode on that on its own, but this is in the top 5. This is just, you know, far and away a mind-blowingly good release. Just look at it. Just awesome. Absolutely awesome. If this came out as an official release, you know, where's the difference in quality? It's, you know, there's no drop in quality in this at all. It is fabulous. I know, you know, last time I showed the Eric Lawrenson 3-book set, but, you know, if it came up a choice between the two, there'd be no question for me, despite the fact that this is giving you all that music as well and those interviews. But it's just so really nicely focused, laid out beautifully. It's great. I hope you're getting the impression that I rather like this one, because, yeah, it's just interview with John Wilkinson. We get a map of the tour, all the little venues picked out. Look, photographs of the venues on that tour. Just awesome. And we get some newspaper articles and reviews and bits and pieces from the time. I've almost run out of superlatives for this one because it's that good. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Amiga Elvis On Tour Deluxe Edition. Absolutely great. And then we have this anomaly, and the reason I call this an anomaly, I think anyone that was aware of its existence, I think if I remember rightly, it was announced August, September, maybe a little bit later than that. I think when it was originally announced last year in 2023, there was only supposed to be a month or so. It was due out in November, but then it got heavily delayed. Didn't see the light of day until just over the sort of just before Christmas going into the new year, and then there was all sorts of problems. Dealers got damaged copies and couldn't fulfill their orders. Then suddenly that was it, because that had been the case. There wasn't enough to go around. You couldn't get it. Sold out everywhere. That was it. And now you go onto most sites and you can pick it up today. You know, if ever there was a business model where the people in charge clearly need some lessons in how to organise their business, it's the Follow That Dream label, because if it's not shocking delays, it's ridiculous situation. I appreciate that they release top quality product. There's a lot that goes into them, but it's the distribution, it's the release process that guys, you need to sort it out, because you make yourself look like an amateur hour. It's got to be said. I was fortunate. I got mine very early January. I had no damage on the outer of mine. Mine sustained some damage, but I tell you what, this damage happened in the factory, that's for sure. Because as you know, these came all sealed, look. So if you see that seam there that's split, the outer case is not damaged at all. So, that split happened when somebody, or machine, or I don't know how they put them in the factory. That has to have happened there. There's nothing on the outside that would have caused that damage there. So, yeah, shame, but it is what it is. So, what did we get when we eventually saw this? Now, I think I said in last week's video that there was a bit of wrangling between Eric Lawrenson's company and Follow That Dream and Nurse Jorgensen. And so I guess by the time they put this out, they decided, well, we can't call it Elvis On Tour anymore. We've kind of missed that boat. We've missed the anniversary. So we got Elvis Now in Person 1972, which is a little bit of a vague title, I think, for the set, but that's the back of your box. Lots of glare going on there. I apologise. Now, quite often when I sort of share things like this, I point out the things like I've just pointed out, and I have to be, absolutely straight. I'm not down on these things. I think they're brilliant. I'm pleased to have them. I've said many times that I think we're spoilt with the level of quality we get. It's just some of the frustrations that could easily be ironed out. A little bit more concentration on the business side of things, and you wouldn't have a lot of frustrated fans waiting for pre-orders that get delayed, and then you get that sort of the mess up. I mean, how many times does stuff come out and we have to have, I think if I remember rightly with this, we had to have a replacement disc because there was a mess up with the pressing. You kind of undo some of the great work you do, FTD, with the things you provide us with a sort of Keystone Cops approach you seem to have to releasing stuff. But yeah, right, okay, what do we get? Okay, so let's start off with the small volume. This is From Las Vegas to Buffalo. So this houses CDs. We get Live in Las Vegas, and this is various dates. We get February the 14th, 72, track 10, 21st February, Midnight Show, 14th. Yeah, it's a bit of a mishmash. This, I think, was probably because we didn't have full recording of the date, so we get bits and pieces. Then we get studio rehearsals. We get Hampton Roads, Richmond, Greensboro, and San Antonio. So basically, if you like, a compilation from the 4 dates of Elvis on Tour, and then the stage rehearsals. So it's a bit of a mishmash of 72. Vegas at the beginning of the year, get the tour rehearsals, spring tour, and then stage rehearsals. So it's a kind of, I guess in a lot of ways, it's a companion piece to the official release of, the concerts. But as I say, I'm not decrying it in any way. It's a great release, beautifully put together. Just Follow That Dream, of course it is. You get a nice 7-inch facsimile single of Burning Love, 4 tracks on it, which is a nice little touch. And then in the back cover you get the 4 CDs with that material on them. And then the book itself covers a lot of the same ground as we've seen in other books, but you know, you get that that usual sheen of quality that FTD seem to do quite effortlessly these days with the books. So there's the costume tryouts early in the year, but I think if I remember rightly, you get more. There's more shots of this. Most give you 2 or 3. These seem to be a bit more comprehensive. He's not very happy there, is he? I imagine Elvis wasn't very comfortable doing stuff like that. He you know, he didn't like faking it, and to stand there doing poses while they took photographs. I guess, yeah, I imagine he probably wasn't. He wasn't too enamoured with it. So this is performing on stage, Las Vegas, January, February 1972. So you get your pre-Elvis on tour, really. January, February season. I think the thing that struck me about this particular volume is the clarity of the photographs. They seem to up the ante on pretty much everything that's gone before in terms of the Elvis on tour photographs. There's a real beautiful crispness that I was really impressed with when I finally got this. So then we sort of go into Elvis on tour. And we sort of talk about Elvis on tour, but there's a really good narrative, really good, packed full of information. But then again, it's David English and Paul Granlund, so you kind of expect it to be because their stuff is so in depth and detailed. It's a photograph of the sort of producers and director as well. Producers and director, and look at all those cans of footage. Now some of that is obviously the footage that Baz Luhrmann's got his hands on, that we should be seeing in a documentary at some point in the next couple of years or so, hopefully. But there's quite a lot of footage there, isn't there? Okay. Chapter 4, RCA recording sessions. So this will be for the 7 masters that were recorded at RCA Studio C in Hollywood in March. That's the mock studio session that they filmed. Stage rehearsals in Hollywood. That's recorded in film where you see Elvis with the musicians doing some gospel. Details there. This is, you know, I think with this you're not getting the same thing again. You know, if you've got the Amiga set, you're not getting the same thing again. I mean, in some ways, this Follow That Dream set reminds me of a sort of an amalgam, really, of what the Amiga set offered, with a bit of what the Lawrence and Elvis on Tour book set offered as well. Let's see your releases. So almost, you know, this first book of the 2-volume set is about the music in a similar way to the making of that they've done with Jailhouse Rock, Blue Hawaii, Viva Las Vegas, less so. But you know, you get one of the books concentrates on the music and one of the books concentrates on the movie. This is almost split in the same way. This smaller volume is concentrating more on the music. And then we move to the bigger volume, and this is the April tour. And it's a weighty one. Yeah, and then we see loads and loads of glorious photographs of the April tour. But as I say, there is a sort of a better clarity to these. It's almost like they've been able to pull a bit more detail out of them than anyone else had before. Oh, someone's disagreeing. Look, I don't know if you can hear that background, but it looks like we're in for a storm. Bit of thunder going on. It's the guys at FTD annoyed because I've just been calling them useless at business. Sorry. There we go. It was gloriously sunny here this morning, and now it looks like we're going to pay for it with a thunderstorm. Just saw a photograph there that I always really liked. That one. Actually, that's a slightly different angle, but I've loved those shots. They're brilliant. Well, the spine's creaking a bit. I hope it doesn't snap. That'll be the next thing. All the pages will fall out. Then I really will be annoyed. I could live with that little split. I don't want more pages falling out. No, thank you. So yeah, you're going through, you know, date by date, contemporary news reports, brilliant photographs, just fantastic quality. As I say, if you're sort of on the fence about picking this one up, especially with all the sort of hoo-ha that went on, can I get one or can't I, when it was released, I'd say go for it. It's great. It's the level of quality that you'll always get with these 2-volume FTD sets, the level of detail and brilliance from David English and Paul Granlund. So it's very, very, very good. It's just a shame it didn't come out when it should have done. Was it worth the wait? Yes, it was worth the wait. Because I know a lot of people didn't get it because they thought, well, I got all the music on it just about, but and that's a fair point. You probably have, but you know, to add to the collection, it's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. As I said, the only thing I struggle with a little bit is what its focus is. You know, it's not an Elvis On Tour book. It's not. It almost, you know, it almost felt like had it come out, when, you know, in 2022 for the 50th anniversary, it would have been called an Elvis On Tour book and probably had more focus on the movie. As it is, it's kind of a Elvis Live in 72, I guess, which is, I guess that's what the title says. But, you know, as they'd already done the That's the Way It Is Deluxe Luxury Edition, it kind of would have made sense to have a companion Elvis On Tour one, and that isn't quite what we got. We got sort of Elvis On Tour-ish. But as I say, that's not decrying from it. It's a brilliant, beautiful release, and comes super, super highly recommended from me. So, yeah, that is coming a bit loose there, look. Hey ho, what can you do? Elvis On Tour. So quite a lot of stuff, really, quite a lot of stuff, and that doesn't even go anywhere near the myriad of bootlegs that have come out of the years for the single, box sets of the singles from there, and I think there's some coloured single box sets. There's all sorts of bootlegs of the concerts themselves. San Antonio, Greenboro, Hampton, Richmond. Then we've got the FTD On Tour, the rehearsals. There's a myriad of stuff. Almost, it's probably the same. What there is for That's the Way It Is, there is for Elvis On Tour. They're landmark events in Elvis's career. They're landmark documentary movies, and they deserve the attention they get. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. And both of what I've been able to share today, both are absolutely brilliant. Both I'd recommend as highly as the other. I think the most surprising for me is the Amiga set, that a bootleg can be that level of quality and just offer that much. But the FTD is certainly worth adding to the collection as well. Pricey, I know, but you're getting a lot for your buck when you think about it. Yeah, it's £200 odd, but look at, you're getting what, 8 CDs, 4 CDs on the FTD. You think of the price of a CD alone, multiply that by 4, the size of that books, and you're getting 2 of them, and a massive, they're not silly. They're not silly prices, I don't think. They're quality. And I kind of understand why they charge what they do, and I understand it's not within everyone's reach, and that's that's perfectly understandable. But there are alternatives. There are alternatives. There's the Sony box set that's got a really nice overview and most of the music on it. There's something like the Joe Tunzi single volume Elvis On Tour book. So there are alternatives for out there. I think there's something for everyone's budget, but. Yeah, what a fantastic documentary, and hopefully one day we'll get that Johnny Be Good restored so we can see it as it was actually intended again. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you appreciated that. If you haven't already, please do all the stuff such as like, share, comment, subscribe, especially comment. I really love to read everyone's comments. And next time we shall venture into 1973. So until then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. God bless you. Adios.